This is the Voice of Land on the Big Play Network with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Jay Benke. Let the mania that is the month of March begin. And as NFL free agency enters its legal tampering period tomorrow and March Madness, the brackets are set. We will talk about all that and more right here on the Voice of Land, part of the Big Play Network. And of course, partner with LPV Productions. We are brought to you by Vector Technical, the great people over there. They will get the right person in the right job the first time. More info on them to come as the show goes on. And DP Construction LLC. Reach out to them for all your concrete construction needs. Browns fans over there, 330-217-4999 is their number. Again, 330-217-4999. As the voice at the beginning told you, I am one of your hosts, Kevin Arnold, joined across the table by always positive Jay, and behind the proverbial glass through a television screen tonight. And it is our producer extraordinaire, Peter Tillett, better known as our AI system audio. Of course, tonight we will get into NFL free agency, the trade that the Browns made with the Dallas Cowboys, some other news and notes, some other rumors out there we will give our reactions to, and answer our poll question that we posted. Make sure you follow us at VTL_pod for that, where you may be watching us right now, or Facebook at Voice of Land or at Big Play, and at Voice of Land Podcast at Big Play on YouTube as well. Make sure to follow LPV Productions across all social media sites, and you'll see our social media handles for Twitter under our names as the show goes on. If you just want to listen to the audio, you want to tune out right now, catch the audio throughout the week, you got other stuff going on Sunday night, don't worry, we understand. You need to get the initial look at the brackets, preparing with all the rumors of the Browns this week. Totally fine. Make sure you subscribe on Google, Spotify, Apple, major podcast platforms, everywhere you can find the Voice of Land. Before we get into our Browns conversations tonight and all of the mayhem that is March, our well-wish segment that we kind of started a couple weeks back, we'll do from time to time. Again, shout out to the boys at Legal Hand to the Face. They do their shout outs before the show, kind of taking that and doing some of the, trying to keep things positive and giving well wishes out to those that really need it at this time. I will kick things off. I will say that I will send well wishes and prayers out to WWE and Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer Scott Hall, or Razor Ramon as he was known. Reports are that he suffered 3 heart attacks and is on life support right now. I've not seen the update on that. So prayers out to him and his family right now, and hopefully he's able to pull through. And, well wishes out to my family, what is becoming my extended family. Had a great time back in Piedmont, Ohio at the fiance's hometown. The bridesmaids put on a great bridal shower for Jana yesterday afternoon, and great time spent with future in-laws and things like that. Shout out to our bridesmaids, Heidi, Diana, Hannah, of course, Chelsea, Sarah, and my sister Amy, who is still in Seattle, but has been doing a lot to help us behind the scenes to prep for our wedding. So I wanted to send well wishes out to them and both of our families for all of the warm wishes and a great party that they put on for her yesterday, celebrating our wedding, which is coming up in already 2.5 months and maybe 2 months and a week. So we're getting stresses building for that. Jay, I know you have a special story. I'll let you set it up and I'll read it.
I have a sad one. Unfortunately, my friend's family, they lost a family member, Ankelo. Rest in peace. Thoughts and prayers to all the family over there. But we were asking everyone for a positive story because there's just so much crap going on in the world right now. We wanted to shed some positive light. And my guy, Bulletproof West from Twitter, reached out to me with a pretty good story that he shared with us. And I'm going to have Kevin read it off to you here in a second.
Let me just scroll back to it. So, Bulletproof West, we'll have him on the show here soon, so we can probably talk about this more. So apologies if I'm not looking at you guys out there tuning in right now. But I'm going to read from the story that Bulletproof West sent to Jay on Twitter. He starts out by saying, so we were at Three Palms having dinner, and this homeless guy comes wandering in. And I mean, it's Westlake, so, everyone sort of stops and looks at him because he sticks out so much. So anyway, first act of kindness was the waitress walks up and just asks, "Are you okay? Do you need anything?" And the guy asks for some water. So while he's waiting, I see the guy at the table next to him, sort of eyeballing the guy, and I couldn't read his face. Part of me thought he was going to blow up and like flip out, like you see in some viral videos. But instead, this man stood up from his table, sat down with this homeless man, and started talking to him. Asked him where he was from, how he was doing, and eventually if he needed anything. The guy says he could use some food, so this man, while his disinterested teenage daughter waited on him, ordered the homeless guy 2 meals, one for now and one for him to take with him. And I sat and watched this, wishing I had the notion to help instead of wondering, what are you doing here? I felt shame about it. So yeah, anyway, that's the story of kindness I saw last night. Legitimately has been with me since. So we're going to start shifting things a little bit and using whatever little notoriety I have and figure out some ways we can help people. And that's just a small example of good deeds that are out there that you don't get to hear about,
and how they inspire others. Like
Yeah.
you heard what it like. That really inspired him, and I talked to him afterwards, and we're going to be working together, and all together we're going to collaborate and do some kind of fundraising together. But when you do good deeds in public, someone sees that, they're going to be inspired, and they're going to want to do that. It's, as our buddy Jarvis says, it's contagious.
It is contagious.
And thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. And like I said, we'll have him on the show because we're already
we'll get his real name, because he asked me. I was like, I don't know, to be honest. I'm sorry, my buddy. You're just Bulletproof West for right now. We'll get the real name. I know it, and I just can't think of it off the top of my head.
And like you said, it's kind of using his notoriety that he's kind of built up on Twitter and TikTok with the videos he's done,
which is hilarious.
Brown, kind of the different characters of Brown's Twitter, which is it is absolutely hilarious. But using that for good, and we're already kicking the tires on some ideas of how we can connect with him to do our part to help as well. Because
all I'll say is be ready for the Browns away games. We're gonna have a little something planned.
Yeah, we'll work through it, and we got plenty of time. Just like Andrew Berry had plenty of time to make moves, even though the big news came out about Russell Wilson being traded to Denver and Aaron Rodgers went back to Green Bay. Other players being traded. I know who was it? The linebacker from the Bears.
Khalil
Mack. That's what it was. I wanted to say Shelvin Mack because I was watching college basketball the other day. The one-time Butler great. He was kind of going through my head. Khalil, for some reason, left my head. But all these big moves were happening, and everybody was saying, "Oh, Andrew Berry's got to be fired. He hasn't done anything." Newsflash, it's March 13th, everybody, and the Browns still don't play an official game for another 6 months until, the second week of September, basically, is when they will start. I think there's time to make some moves, and the official league year hasn't even started yet, so none of this is official. Like, we're about to talk about an Amari Cooper trade, which I don't know if the Browns announced or not, because it was something that could be done before the new league year. Most likely not. So all of these are reported deals, reported whatever. And when noon hits tomorrow and you see that, oh, this NFL team and this player agreed to this kind of contract, 4 years, 53 million guaranteed, whatever. All of that can't become official until Wednesday. So there's still time. Andrew Berry is doing his job, and he started doing his job. We got the news yesterday, which, it was hard for me to keep up with because
I loved it. That was my number one guy I wanted in free agent. And they went ahead and just traded before he became a free agent for a 5th rounder. That was it. Got a Pro Bowl receiver for a 5th rounder.
Yeah, and you say 5th rounder. Now, I know that the Browns get a 6th rounder.
They pretty much swapped 6th-round picks.
They swapped 6 rounders. So, and once you get in the 6th round, you hope you find
a crapshoot.
You hope you find a guy like DPJ who can have an impact on your team, but he's also if Jarvis unfortunately leaves, which thank you to Jarvis, because bless him was a big thing on this show with Peter and with Nick. And I know for you as well as a Browns fan, Jay.
I'm just praying that he restructures his contract. I'm hoping. I'm holding out hope. Me too. Far shot, but
here's the thing: if anyone can get it done, it would be Andrew Berry.
It would.
I really think so.
Yeah,
that guy's pretty good.
Yeah, I think so.
So we'll see. I know that they gave him room to seek a trade too, or they may have to cut him or restructure, whichever direction it goes. Even if he's still here, I don't think we do it enough. But thank you. We, saying our thank yous to these players, not because we're these fans kind of groveling at their feet. No, but because of what they represent. And it's not he was a culture changer, and he's been a big player in the community too. We just did our well wishes, and we just had
his softball game. How much money that raised for the community? I mean,
right, and it's interacting with so many different people, and it's giving of himself, using that notoriety, as we just said, to give of himself.
It's him sacrificing his body on the field for us, dude.
And those are the things
like
that
when he's hurt and he's out there playing hurt,
right,
not complaining about it, going out there every day. Yeah, I just appreciate that kind of stuff.
Those are the things we kind of glance over at times because we're such big fans. And the news that we want to talk about is this big trade. And yeah, Amari Cooper, and he's, under control for 3 more years, but it's $20 million a year. There may need to be, if it's really analytics driving the Browns, they may look to restructure, or it's not. Andrew Berry's just making football moves, as he's shown to do, and make big moves around this time of the year every single year. They always say that you kind of know by year 2, year 3 of a front office what their approach to free agency is, what their approach to the draft is, by what they do. Well, what has Andrew Berry shown us? He's gone out and made big moves that have impacted this team. I know people want to go back to, when we traded for Odell Beckham Jr. That wasn't Andrew Berry. That was, he started coming into the 2020 season. We traded for Odell same day in March, but 3 years ago in 2019. So I trust what Andrew Berry sees in a player and he's bringing in, but he makes these bigger moves and bigger free agency signings at the beginning, or trades to bring in, yes, what seems like a big name, but who he knows fits what they're trying to do well. And then he goes in the draft, in whatever position or positions you're talking about, he gets the best player available at that position. We needed cornerbacks, we needed linebackers last year. First 2 rounds, what does he do? He gets 2 impactful players in Greg Newsome and JOK. I know everybody wants to put rumors out there and what the Browns are doing, who they're looking into, who they're not. Andrew Berry is just doing his job. And there's a name out there that is being talked about for the Browns too, but just sticking with Amari Cooper, because it's going to lead into our next segment, and kind of talking with Craig Fountain from the Dogs Table about, and kind of get into our poll question as well. But I mean, he gets a wide receiver. You can see that we've talked about how the passing game needs to be improved. Peter said it. You've said it. I've said it. Every other show has said it. Guess what Andrew Berry is doing? He's improving that for basically a 5th round pick. And you still have all your top draft picks and still cap space to work with to build the defensive line if you need to.
I mean,
you can't ask for much more from this front office, but you can't also just win the offseason.
You just said what I was going to say. You nailed it. Like, oh, well, he got it.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, all the fans that are saying that Andrew Berry needs fired because he's not making any moves until the Amari Cooper trade, because they want to have the T-shirts. They want to be able to be the paper champions. That's not what football is supposed to be in this town. It's supposed to be, yes, you use the offseason to continue to improve your team, to consistently execute and be there at the end, or have a chance to be there at the end, to contend for Lombardi trophies. People should not shy away from that. I think that's even something that Jarvis said. Another one of his famous quotes that he brought to this team, that, yeah, we have Super Bowl aspirations. I'm not going to shy away from that, because every other team has the same aspirations. Why am I going to just lie to you and say, oh, yeah, we have to take it one game at a time? That's really what we have to do. But the goal by taking it one game at a time is to get there at the end. We need to be a good football team in the offseason and the actual season. Andrew Berry is trying to build a team to do that, but he can't do it all.
I mean, the players got to go out there and do their job. That's the bottom line. He's going to put the right people out there. It's a matter if they're going to do their job or not. And
Browns Twitter can argue all they want. They can fight about Baker, no Baker. I want Deshaun Watson. I don't want Deshaun Watson. And it gets way too personal on Browns Twitter. That needs to be look at it for what it actually is. This is all they can do right now is build a team. try to improve the team. That's what Andrew Berry is doing. But it's not the end all be all. And it doesn't ultimately lead you to a championship right now. You can definitely lose by not doing anything right now. But to think a guy doesn't have any more time and we're going to play a game next Sunday and you're going to say that a guy needs fired, that's absolutely ridiculous. And that's why Twitter is just such a nightmare right now. And we need more good stories like Bulletproof West sent to you about what he saw out in the community and what he's trying to do now in the community as well. We're going to hit a break though, Jay, and we're going to bring on Craig Fountain on the other side. We're going to talk our poll question, his thoughts on the Amari Cooper trade, and who do we see or what kind of positions do the Browns need to look at in free agency. Maybe we'll touch on what actually is the hot topic on Browns Twitter right now as well. We will talk about all that and more on the other side of this break. This is the Voice of the Land of the Big Play Network.
Whether you're looking to hire new talent or start a new career, Vector Technical has you covered. Vector Technical is a 28-year-old staffing firm that has helped thousands of job seekers advance in their career with reputable partners throughout Northeastern Ohio. Vector Technical is more than just a temp agency. With an above-average hire-in rate of 1 in 4 candidates, Vector works hard to connect the right person with the right opportunity the first time. Vector Technical hires for skilled manufacturing and light industrial work and is sure to have a career that you've been looking for. To learn more, visit our website at www.vectortechnicalinc.com.
Welcome back to the Voice of the Land. Before the break, we were kind of talking about the Amari Cooper trade. Feel like we've kind of talked about how the Browns really only gave up a 5th-round pick for it. We both like the move. We are going to head out to our Zoom hotline, if you will, for our guest for this evening. He is the co-host of the Dogs Table, also a part of the Big Play Network, alongside Fatty Jared Bates. He is Craig Fountain. Craig, thank you so much for taking some time with us tonight. I mean, just right off the top, your thoughts on the Amari Cooper trade for the Browns.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. I'm glad to be here and chat with you guys. So the Amari Cooper trade was interesting, and I really don't see any downsides to it. It is one of those things where we've been burnt so many times, especially with free agent wide receivers, that there was a little bit of initial excitement for me, but now I'm cautiously optimistic. And I'm not going to let it ruin the moment based on what's happened in the past, but I'm gonna temper my expectations. That being said, there's still big expectations, even if you temper those down a little bit. So this is a veteran. He's got a lot of experience. He has postseason experience. He's one of the best route runners in the league. He's somebody that is going to be where the ball is supposed to be thrown. And for that, and for Baker Mayfield, I'm excited, very excited.
And Craig, I mean, just speak to, even digging into Twitter, like how convoluted all of that can get, and especially on Browns Twitter. But the notion that everybody try to compare this trade to the Odell Beckham trade, and how people are already making the jokes that Amari Cooper's dad has the video clip ready to go. Just why do you feel like I do, like this is different, and why do you feel that way?
In a number of ways, I do feel like it's different, and I don't blame anybody for being apprehensive about it if they're nervous. I think most people are excited, but when this happened, it kind of flashed me back to when the news broke that we had traded for Odell Beckham Jr. And I remember thinking, man, I don't know if we've ever had somebody like this here. Like, this is the most exciting thing. As somebody who's been a fan since 1999, we've had a lot of big signings. Most of them haven't really worked out.
A lot of mediocre wide receivers.
A lot of mediocre wide receivers. But, we had the Jeff Garcia signing. Now I'm showing my age a little bit. That was like, oh, man, we're going to the Super Bowl. We got Jeff Garcia. And then moving forward, we had the Dwayne Bowe signing. We had the Odell Beckham Jr. trade. But I kind of got those same types of feelings. And I was pretty indifferent on whether or not we should pursue Amari. It was one of those things where, for me, it was, if we can go get him and the price is right, then great, do it. Like, it's a need. Let's get this taken care of before the draft, so we're not in a corner. We can draft best available if possible, and it worked out, and the price was right. The price was great.
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, a 5th-round pick for a Pro Bowl receiver, like you said, he's a phenomenal route runner, and I think that's going to mix very well with Baker. He was by far my number 1 target in free agency this year. But to change subject, looked like we had a little breaking news while the show was on.
Yeah, Craig kind of alluded to it in our chat room here on Zoom as we have him on. Craig Fountain from the Dogs Table joining us, and Tom Brady's retirement is over.
What is the details on this? Anybody know anything? I'm not reading Twitter on this side over here.
I am looking at Ian Rappaport from NFL Network at Rapsheet. His initial tweet says Tom Brady is back, a short retirement. The Bucs never replaced him and didn't make an offer on Deshaun Watson. They left the light on. Now Brady is back. And as the soccer fan that I am and the Man United fan that I am, Cristiano Ronaldo, a hat trick yesterday against Tottenham, Emmett Golden's favorite team, also a friend of the show, Andrew Hagenboz. But I say all that to say that Tom Brady was in attendance at Old Trafford yesterday at Man United's home game for the English Premier League. And there was a video after the game of him and Ronaldo kind of talking. Ronaldo asked him, "Are you really done?" And Tom Brady kind of gave him a little shrug that was like he didn't want to answer and could kind of tell there was a camera on him. So this is actually not surprising, and looks like I just got it on my ESPN app as well. So Tom Brady says on social media, this is according to ESPN and on the ESPN app, that he is coming out of retirement. These past 2 months, I've realized my place is still on the field and not in the stands, as Tom Brady says. He goes on to say, that time will come, but it's not now. I love my teammates and I love my supportive family. They make it all possible. I'm coming back for my 23rd season in Tampa, unfinished business, LFG. I will not tell you what LFG means because this is not that kind of show. So, I mean, Craig, not surprised by this.
It's not the Dogs Table.
Yeah, it's not the Dogs Table. It's not the Dogs Table. Not surprised by this at all.
So Giselle has already gotten tired of him being home.
Apparently,
after 2 months, so.
Apparently, that's why she sent him all the way across overseas. I didn't see his family with him at the.
If I was home for 2 months straight with my wife, she'd probably be like, "Get the hell out of here!" Too. So.
But I mean, guys, not surprising, right?
No, I mean, I'm kind of glad actually. That's
you
one
can
less
squash
team.
the Baker rumors, right?
Yeah,
to Tampa, yeah.
Yep.
The Baker to Bucs rumors.
Yeah, that's just another, I guess, feather in the cap of what the Browns have been saying this whole time, that they plan on Baker being their starting quarterback. Craig, I know it's a tough subject, but gotta ask the question since we are on quarterbacks right now. I mean, these rumors about Deshaun Watson and the Browns doing their due diligence on veteran quarterbacks. I mean, your thoughts on it? Again, I know it's a touchy subject because there's a lot of legal matters that go into it, and but just I guess from a football standpoint, where are you at with the whole Baker, no Baker type thing, and all these rumors about other QBs?
For me, it's really, if you're not doing your due diligence, you're not doing your job, and that just goes to show that you're going to investigate every option possible. Before Washington, the Commanders traded for Carson Wentz, they actually picked up the phone and they called the Kansas City Chiefs about Patrick Mahomes, because what's the worst they're going to do, right? They're going to say no. Mm-hmm. So due diligence is part of the job, and I have every reason to believe that Andrew Berry in the front office is doing just that. So has it been a discussion? I'm sure it has. How serious of a discussion? I'm not sure. There's a lot of reports coming out from the media that they've communicated with the Texans, that they've had discussions, that they're interested in exploring their options. Of course they are. Everybody is always interested in exploring their options, and everybody has a price. What doesn't line up to me is the way this front office has worked so far. It just doesn't seem to fit what their goals are, what their intentions are, and it doesn't really align with really the philosophy that I think they've shown that they have. Now, maybe they pick up the phone and say, hey, we know that, the rumor is you're asking for 3 firsts. Will you take a second in Baker Mayfield? Who knows? It could be a conversation like that. It could be a shot in the dark. Maybe they're all in, and we just don't know it yet. My personal belief is that Baker Mayfield deserves another year. I think he should play out his 5th year, and then if he plays well, we keep him. Great, make him an offer. If he wants to stay, extend him if you can come to terms. If he doesn't play well, then it's over. It's over. But
I mean, you can tell by
that,
what I'm wearing who I'm supporting these days.
Yeah,
I'm rolling with 6.
yeah, and that's a pretty neutral stance,
Mm.
from me. And I'm a Baker Mayfield fan, and I'll admit it. I'm a Baker Mayfield apologist to some extent, but I'm not buying the whole like you're rooting for mediocrity type thing. Baker showed us that he can play at times. Like his ceiling is so high, right? And
I mean, I'm getting so aggravated with people that say that if you root for Baker, you're thinking for mediocrity. Like, dude, if you go to when he hurt himself originally and you go those 4 games afterwards, he's up and down there, which is because he's semi-hurt. But then you go to the J.J. Watt body slam. After that, he was terrible, rightfully so. On top of the fact that he had both of his tackles gone, and I don't know if you watched the one Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes when his two tackles are gone. He looked like garbage in the Super Bowl because his tackles were gone, and that'll destroy any quarterback. So you take that on top of all the other injuries that we had on the offense, on top of who's supposed to be our star receiver. I don't care what anyone says. I had nothing against him, but after everything I heard, he checked out and he wasn't all in here. Was he a nice guy in the locker room? Probably. He seems very kind to everyone and gets along with everyone, but he was not all in. And that's why I think he was dropping passes over the middle consistently. So you take all that. Now you're going back from before he got hurt. What game was that before that? Those 2 games before that. He was great in Houston. He was great in KC. And then you go back to the playoffs. He was awesome against KC in the playoffs. He was awesome against Pittsburgh. And you go back before that, he had a great run to get into the playoffs. He was healthy during all that. His line was healthy during all that. And he played great. Dude gets hurt. All our players get hurt, and everyone wants to throw him away all of a sudden. Like, it's as plain as day to me that's why he played bad. I don't want to understand why everyone can't see that.
Actually, he played great even when his line was hurt because he had some guy named Blake, right?
Yeah, some guy named Blake
in the playoffs. So it's
Yeah.
like he can play.
Yeah.
And I think the issue was he is too much of a competitor that he should have come out. He should have gotten the surgery earlier but he wanted to win and he thought he could.
Right. And we've been through like everything about Baker and how being realistic about it. Baker Mayfield can play the game of football and can play the position of quarterback in the NFL and can play it well. Did he do it last year? No. Is part of that because of the injury? Probably. Is there decision-making habits that he created that he needs to fix, that he needs to get better at? Absolutely. Does he need to be even better than the 2020 Baker Mayfield that we saw, that we know can play, and why so many people want him to be the starter next year when he was healthy? Absolutely. He still needs to play better than that because they didn't win the championship that year. Everybody's got to play better than that season and definitely better than last year. I think the thing is, I think Craig said it best. If you're not doing your due diligence, words are hard, but oh so fun. I mean, that's a catchphrase. That's a hot button kind of phrase that people like to throw around when they're putting these reports out there. It's a cliche, but cliches in sports tend to be right more often than not. If you're not doing that due diligence, you're not doing your job. Craig said it best. I mean, we don't need to spend too much time on Deshaun Watson. I know we're kind of all, I think from a personality standpoint or just more of a, real life standpoint, I even have a hard time rooting for Kareem Hunt at times, still from what he did. Now, he got a second chance. Does everyone deserve a second chance? I do believe in that.
And he's doing well by it.
And,
he is.
And doing well by that. That's one woman versus 22 allegations. And there's a lot still to be determined with all of that. Craig said it. I'll say it. I know, Jay, you agree with it. It does not match up with what this front office is about. It may have with the front office before, with Buddy Boy, but it does not match up with Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski, and what they're doing. Now, if they do it, We'll have a conversation then. I'm not going to say much more than that. Craig Fountain from the Dogs Table is joining us. And Craig, before we kind of switch gears here and get you out of here, we did mention our poll question, and I want to ask that to you because I think that's the biggest thing kind of going into free agency. So after trading for Amari Cooper yesterday, what position would you, Craig Fountain, like to see the Browns improve next as the legal tampering period opens tomorrow? And then, of course, the official league year starting at 4 p.m. on Wednesday. We offered the options of another wide receiver, defensive line, whether ends or tackles, or the option of other, with people able to comment on those on what they think. So where are you at with free agency approach for the Browns? What is your ideal situation?
So the ideal situation for me, and I've kind of come to this stance where I believe is a fan and somebody who's paying attention that the right thing for Andrew Berry and the Browns to do is to correct the defensive line through free agency, address wide receiver in the draft, and fill out some of the depth in the draft. So the defensive line of free agency is number one priority, in my opinion. I don't know if I have any specific targets in mind that I'm like, I have to have that guy, like, please go get this guy. But we don't need to hit a bunch of home runs, right? We're playing Moneyball. We need to get on base, and then we need to bat the runner home. So it's one of those things where I want them to put the pieces together, and the defensive line for me is the most important position to attack in free agency. And then let's address wide receiver in the draft. Maybe get some depth guys in free agency. But if we're talking about making a splash or who you're calling about first, it's got to be defensive line, interior defensive line, specifically for me.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we're kind of on the same page. We'll give our answers, Peter, or audio. Jay and myself will kind of do that after the break. But percentage chance, Craig, that Clowney comes back, we're just personal opinion.
It's 50-50. And you know what? People don't like to hear this, but it's 100% about the money. I don't care who you talk to. It's 100% about the money. One of my favorite podcasts of all time to listen to is The Tomahawk Show. And Joe Thomas and Andrew Hawkins, both former Cleveland Browns. Joe Thomas is the most stand-up guy in the world, right? Like, he's the guy that does everything right. And he's the guy that will tell you the truth. And even Joe Thomas will tell you, they say it's not about the money. It's about the money. So it's all going to come down to, does he want to stay here based on what we're offering him? And it's 50-50. Amari Cooper signing, that complicates things, right? We're $3 million over the cap as we sit. You can hopefully restructure Jarvis. Hopefully we don't have to cut him. But, you're going to have to start freeing things up. Austin Hooper, his situation got a little bit more dire here. So 50-50. I wish I had a better answer, but it's a toss-up.
No, you're totally right. 50-50. And again, all about the money there. And the Browns are going to have to kind of finagle things with their roster. And there's a lot more to already be determined, and a lot more storylines to come out of Berea, because we're not even really getting started yet. The legal tampering period opens tomorrow at noon.
Yeah,
so
everything's going to completely change by tomorrow. That's the way it is.
If people are listening to the audio recording on Thursday, well, then everything's already happened and you're enjoying March Madness. But for the most part, it's going to happen over the next, really start in the next 3 days, and the Browns, all those moves to get money freed up will happen. Craig, we want to thank you so much for coming on. Give you a chance to kind of plug the Dogs Table. What is it, and any other projects you got going on, how people can follow you?
Yeah, so, and I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm grateful for that. The Dogs Table is a Browns Roundtable discussion show that anybody can join. And what we do is we go live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. We're part of the Big Play Network. And we post a link in the comments of the show. We interact with fans live. You can call in and video chat like I am with Kevin and Jay here. Sometimes we have a couple people come in. Sometimes we can't get everybody in, but we'll also display and interact with comments on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that in real time. So it's truly a roundtable discussion. It's not so much a platform for us to kind of voice our opinions as much as it is to engage with the fans. So you can find us at Dogs Table on Twitter. You can find us on YouTube, again, Facebook, even TikTok. We go live on TikTok. And I have a podcast that centers around the entire NFL, not just the Browns. It's called Ginger's Talk Football with my brother from another mother, literally, my ginger brother. And we talk the entire NFL landscape. So you can find that. That's on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere you get your podcasts.
And of course, follow him at Craig A. Fountain as well on Twitter, and he will repost all of the Dogs Table and podcast elements there. Craig, again, thank you so much. You guys are doing such an innovative thing with the Dogs Table. We always appreciate the opportunity when you guys allow us to come on as well.
Oh, it's always a good time going on with those guys.
And and we appreciate you taking time away from the family at night to join us tonight. So thank you so much, Craig.
Thanks for having me, guys.
That is Craig Fountain of the Dogs Table. You can catch that live Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Most of the time. Sometimes they'll go out and be live in the community as well with him and Jared Bates, a friend of show, also one of the co-hosts of Illegal Ham to the Face.
And just two great guys.
Just two great guys, a whole bunch of great guys. There's Illegal Ham to the Face with my cousin Vinny and Bry with Big Bry and Jared Bates, and of course with Dogs Table. And then you get guys like Red Leg on there and a whole bunch of people that are having real conversations on Browns Twitter, not actually part of the Browns Twitter that we joke about or kind of criticize.
Talking about mayhem.
Pulling back the curtain, going through the fourth wall, looking in the camera. We make a bit out of talking about Browns Twitter on here. That's not the same Browns Twitter type of people you're going to get on the Dogs Table. So thank you so much, Craig. We are going to hit our break here at the bottom of the hour, past the bottom of the hour, and come back. We will answer the poll question and start talking a little March Madness and catch up on some other storylines around the sports landscape here in the city of Cleveland before we close things out. This is the Voice of the Land on the Big Play Network.
Are you struggling to hire the right talent or maybe even find the right career? Vector Technical makes it easy. Since 1992, Vector has provided Ohio employers with a reliable process for hiring and have helped thousands of job seekers advance in their careers. Vector Technical is more than just a temp agency. We invest time to get to know each client and candidate personally. Vector places people in job opportunities that they are truly excited about. Interested in learning more? Visit our website at www.vectortechnicalinc.com to see a full list of our current job opportunities and to find out what Vector Technical can offer you.
Get your gear at voiceoftheland.com/shop.
Welcome back to the Voice of the Land here on the Big Play Network. Kevin Arnold alongside Always Positive Jay and our AI system audio behind the proverbial glass. You'll never see him. He never wants a camera on him. So he's just a voice of the land. We went to break we just were joined by Craig Fountain. For those that don't know, and you haven't been on Twitter yet, you haven't been kind of watching sports, Tom Brady not retired. Shocker.
Wow.
Tom Brady took him 2 months and he's back. Giselle kicked him out of the house, kicked him all the way across seas, went to a Manchester United game against Tottenham Hotspurs. Saw Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the best of all time in the game of soccer, score 3 goals and said, you know what? He's still doing it at 39.
I mean, he led the league in touchdowns. How can he quit now?
Led the league in touchdowns. He's over
845. That's insane.
He's coming back for his 23rd season. The rumors of Bruce Arians loving Baker Mayfield and the possible trade there if the Browns were to get Deshaun Watson.
Shut down.
Door closed there. So Blaine Gabbert will be the backup once again down there in Tampa Bay, and they will be a perennial favorite once again next year because they have the quarterback. We hope that we have the quarterback here in Baker. Again, he has to play better. Browns doing their job, looking around, trying to see how they can improve every single position. When Andrew Berry says a lot without saying anything, he's telling you exactly what they're doing. We're trying to improve every position. That includes QB. That doesn't mean that they don't like their QB. That doesn't mean that they don't like their wide receivers or anything like that. They are just trying to build a championship team. At the end of the day, sports is a business. Now, in terms of the business aspects, Andrew Berry has a job to do. This front office has a job to do. Assuming they clear enough cap space, as Craig alluded to, they're kind of over the cap with Amari Cooper right now. What position would you guys like to see, assuming they're able to clear some space? Another wide receiver here in free agency, defensive line, something else, Jay? Where are you looking?
Defensive line. I mean, personally, I have my dream dude is love to bring Larry. I'd love Larry Ogunjobi back too, but defensive end Agba. I'd love to have them bring Emmanuel Agba back and
Played well
put
in
him
Miami.
put him on the other side of Myles Garrett. And I think you could just plug in tackles. They're kind of like guards. They're not that hard to find. But I really would love them to shear up that defensive end so that number 13 pick, they could just take whoever they want, best available wide receiver or best available defensive line, however you want to attack it. But Craig said it. We got to shore up this defensive line before the draft.
And if you're able to shore up some defensive line here in free agency a little bit, get that guy on the other side, whether it's Jadeveon Clowney comes back, Emmanuel Ogbah, somebody, you're going to need another defensive end because you saw how impactful having a guy that forced teams to not shift so many guys in the offensive line over to Myles Garrett. Yes, Myles Garrett is a beast. He's going to get through 2 or 3 guys, but not consistently. And that's going to wear down even a physical freak that every time he posts a picture with his shirt open or shirt off, he gets randomly drug tested by the NFL. As much of a physical freak that he is and specimen that he is, he's going to wear down just like everybody else. He is human like everybody else. You need someone on the other side that poses a threat to get to the quarterback.
I mean, look at what the Chargers just did. Now they got Bosa
and
Khalil Mack. Like, that's scary. That is very, very scary. And I'm so glad we don't have to play the Chargers next year.
And the Browns are kind of a model for that because they had success along the defensive line because of having 2 really good defensive ends. Now, it doesn't even have to be someone to the caliber of the name of Jadeveon Clowney. Jadeveon Clowney was the number 1 pick for the Houston Texans. Through injuries and whatever, never really amounted to that name, but is still a really good player. You need a above average serviceable player that you can get in, and especially in free agency. Like you said, Jay, then that opens up the 13th pick to be either one. Now we can go back and have fun debating whether it's going to be wide receiver, defensive end, and either one that they pick in the first round. Yes, there is still a lot of pressure on them because you're a first round pick and you're going to play and you're going to play a lot. It's not as much if you are then tasked with being the defensive end that has to help Myles Garrett or the wide receiver. Amari Cooper is that name. You bring in a Garrett Wilson. Guess what? Garrett Wilson gets to learn the NFL game and just go out there and play football and doesn't have to be that number 1 guy and have that and the city looking at him.
If you double team him, Amari Cooper's going to eat. You double team Amari Cooper, Garrett Wilson's going to eat. That's how it works.
And it
takes, like you said, just so much pressure off everybody else. And let's say you get 3 defensive ends even, and that's the route they go. Then you rotate them. That's fantastic. You can bring 3 at a time. Pressure, like everyone keeps like, oh, you need the elite quarterback to win. Well, there's another way you win. You can have a good quarterback with an elite pass rush, and you just take out the elite quarterbacks.
And
wow, is that tough? Is that hard to like?
I mean, you know what pressure does? I mean, it either makes diamonds or bursts the pipes. So, and for any quarterback, no matter how good they are, if you can get pressure on them, the pressure bursts the pipes a lot of the time. Go back to that Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes that you mentioned earlier, Jay. And that's a prime example of why even the best of the
year
best.
Before with Tom Brady. That's
best,
how he gets beat from the Giants. That's how they beat him in his prime when they were undefeated with the Patriots. And no one thought that the Giants were going to beat him. But that defensive line that was like 5 or 6 deep put pressure on Tom Brady all day, the greatest of all time. And they won with Eli Manning. Yep. I'm sorry, Baker Mayfield's better than Eli Manning. Like, he won 2 Super Bowls, but that defense carried him. Let's just be real. And a crazy catch off some dude's helmet.
Pressures make pedestrians even out of the best quarterbacks. Peter, audio behind that glass. Can you hear me back there? What I don't know where he is tonight, but if you can hear me somewhere around here, what you looking at defensive line or somewhere else for the Browns?
You know, honestly, I think it's going to be. It all depends on what they can do with Clowney and with Landry, because if they're able to, structure those guys, make some changes where we can keep one or both of them, I think that's really going to, determine what we go after. So, I think another defensive end would be good because you could, like you said, you could rotate them in there, get more pressure. Because you're right, the pressure on the quarterbacks, we need to bring pressure. That's one of the things, like as an Ohio State fan, right? What Ohio State's been missing lately is linebackers. They used to be like linebacker that was the whole thing. Joey Bosa, all those guys that came through that were great linebackers. Ohio State did so well because opposing quarterbacks didn't have time. Routes didn't have time to open up.
Right.
So, I love that. I think we've got decent receivers. I would love to see Landry back just because I think he's a great guy, and I think him with Cooper would be, an amazing mix. You throw in DPJ and, as much as I would love to see Olave or Garrett Wilson here, that would be killer.
But, I mean, second, third tier guys in the second round, like a David Bell at Purdue, that, if you go with the next best defensive line at 13, because you've been able to get Landry back and you got a stable wide receiver room and you want some youth in there because the contracts are going to come up.
Yeah.
Those are the names. But guess what? Like some of the deep draft classes that we have that we're going to get to talk about moving forward is awesome. It's gonna take these first couple of weeks of free agency to, have the Browns see what they can do. We know that they want to address the passing game. How else are they going to do that? And how are they going to get more guys under contract in that defensive line? Because I think there's only like 2 or 3 guys on that defensive line. A couple of them are like 4th round picks at defensive tackle. So, along with Myles Garrett.
Well, they're very thin right now, defensive line.
You need a front seven that you can, Peter, you said it best, rotate and make it tough on teams. And you're bringing in fresh guys and they're having just as much impact as your main stars because it's just relentless on pressure.
I mean, the back end of our defense, I like a lot.
It's really good.
So you got to put pressure and make their jobs easier.
Yeah. So we'll see. I know that all the other shows, we won't even get a chance to talk about all these main things. Maybe we'll try to get some videos up of like reaction on our Twitter this week. If there's big news that drops, we will try to do that for people. I know Peter and I have been talking about an idea and how we can do that throughout the week because we only get to talk about this on Sundays. So, the big news is going to start tomorrow and, big news came out tonight. That's what I try to go through Twitter just now to see if there was, any more rumors we needed to mention or anything. We're still in the football talk.
I've been looking at Twitter way too much this weekend. I'm not going to lie. I don't want the trade for Watson. I'm not going to say why. I don't want it.
Yeah.
That's why I wore the Baker jersey.
We're not going to.
And I just keep hoping that the news breaks that Carolina trades for him.
I think that's the main team to look at, but they also need a quarterback too. It's not, the team already has one. You got a debate going on amongst all the fans. I think we're all on the same page about why we don't want Deshaun Watson. So we're not going to dig too deep into it. If he comes here and we got to have a conversation about it, we most certainly will, because we have the difficult conversations right here on the Voice of Land and keep it real. And we're going to keep it real. We're going to head to a break. And on the other side, we'll touch on some of the news and notes around the other part of the sports world. I was just digging through Twitter. A lot of it's on the breaking news of Tom Brady. There was one tweet mixed in from a friend of mine from OMS and someone that Peter and I have worked with as well, and kind of touch on that as we talk about March Madness and more on the other side of the break. This is the final break of the Voice of the Land here on the Big Play Network.
Are you looking for a career in manufacturing? Vector Technical has you covered. Vector Technical is a 28-year-old staffing firm that has partnered with some of the biggest and the best companies throughout Northeastern Ohio. The recruiters at Vector Technical will coach you through the entire job process and will help you land an opportunity that you are truly excited about. Vector does not add any additional fees and offers benefits as well as free online skills training through Penn Foster. To learn more, visit www.vectortechnicalinc.com and make sure to check out our job board to see a full list of our current opportunities and apply.
Welcome back to the Voice of the Land. Kevin Arnold, always Positive J, and Audio, our AI system, here with you for about 10 or so more minutes on this Sunday night, or with you across the major podcast platforms for Google, Spotify, Apple, or if you're watching us on replay on all these social media sites. We thank everyone that tunes in to the different elements we post throughout the week. And been talking NFL the whole time, and I kind of alluded to it, kind of teased it before the break. I went scrolling through Twitter, do my job as the show goes on to keep us prepped, to keep us up to date. Minnesota just signed Kirk Cousins to a 1-year extension, $35 million. Peter, you said it during the break. Wish I learned how to throw a football,
That's why I played line, because I could not throw a football very well.
Kirk Cousins making $35 million for a year. That just let that sink in for the type of quarterback that Kirk Cousins is. So, but I was kind of scrolling through, and a lot of people are quote tweeting Tom Brady's quote that we kind of read from the ESPN app, that he's coming back. 2 months is enough. I think we've already kind of said he's been kicked out of the house. He was kicked overseas. But then there was one in between, and someone that we've worked with, Peter, from 92.3 The Fan, a producer over there, was at iHeart before, AA, Anthony Alford. It says, one line says, Ohio State playing in Pittsburgh. Yes. Ohio State against Loyola Chicago. No. As Ohio State gets a 7 seed, I think either in the South or Midwest bracket, they're going to face Sister Jean and those Loyola Chicago Ramblers, I think their nickname is. If I'm wrong, someone tweeted us right now.
I don't care what their name is. Sister Jean scares me. She's got so much good mojo going for her. It's hard to beat that lady.
Sister Jean is. I know Ohio State doesn't have any good mojo going for them. They lost to
that basketball team.
They lost to the team up north in the final game of the season, regular season, and they lost a couple home games to lower end Big Ten teams that they should not be losing to at the Schottenstein Center down in Columbus. And then they lose in the first round of the Big Ten tournament after getting a bye. This team is going the wrong direction. They start out so well, and yes, they got a great player in EJ Liddell, but let's face it, Ohio State is basically everything but a basketball school at this point right now. I don't want to say they're just a football school, because that disrespects how good their soccer program can be, and volleyball, swimming does well all the time. Like, there's other sports. I would be doing a disservice to student athletes everywhere if I said that they were just a football school, but they're everything but a basketball school men's wise right now. Women were the Big Ten regular season champs. They are always quietly one of the better teams in the country at Ohio State.
They've been consistently pretty good for a while now.
Yeah. A few years back with Sarah Perhalis as their point guard, that group was really, really good. And now they've built that back up. I don't know. I know that what's so cool about March Madness this year is March Madness. Yes, it's a trademark thing for the NCAA, but they're using that for both the men and the women this year. It's not the men's March Madness tournament and the women's NCAA tournament. And going through Twitter, there's a Twitter account now for at NCAA March Madness, or at March Madness MBB and March Madness WBB. Like, they're giving both. And I think ESPN, instead of doing it on a separate night, they're doing it tonight at 8. So once we go off, their Selection Sunday show is right after, and they're up to 68 teams as well. So they're doing their playing games as well. I think that's key to give, both sides. If we're looking for equality, like, there's good basketball being played on both sides.
Totally. I think if I was bringing up a kid and I wanted him to learn how to play basketball, watching the game, I would make him watch females play all the time. They play
the fundamentals.
Yeah, they're way more fundamental than they sound. They're more entertaining than people give them, and I kind of get annoyed when people give the WNBA shellac and stuff. Like, those girls can ball, man.
Yeah. And I know it always used to be like just UConn and I think maybe Baylor or Texas, Tennessee, whatever, at the top for women. And it was very like chalk on the board. Like, they started to build parity just as much as the men have. That's why these brackets are now even more difficult than they once were. But it's, UConn isn't the best team anymore. And we were, Jan and I were watching the Big 12 championship for the women today. It was Baylor versus Texas. Baylor had beaten Texas for like 13 straight seasons or something like that. Or since 2013, Texas hadn't beaten Baylor. Baylor beat them twice in the regular season. Big 12 championship, Texas comes out and wins the Big 12 championship as the 3 seed in the Big 12. As 3 versus 1, that's still like, you were starting to see.
Was it Brittany Griner? She went to Baylor, correct?
I think
she went to Baylor.
I don't know. I'm not sure if it was. I'm not sure if it was.
I'm
Baylor.
Almost positive it was Baylor.
Yeah,
but man,
there's that whole situation. That's another one that
I totally forgot about that. Mentioning that. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, like
prayers for her, man. Get her home.
again, but it used to be a sport where like that one player could really, really get you far. But these programs are building teams, and it's, there's a reason why some guys stay and some, definitely girls stay more at college because, they want a chance to win. Like it matters to them to try to win a championship or at least a conference championship.
Who's the point guard that just came back for UConn? She was out with the leg injury for a real long time.
Paige Beckers.
Holy moly, girl play?
I've been seeing highlight reels of her like from high school and stuff for many years now. I think she's a sophomore, and she was able to come back from a knee injury, and a pretty bad knee injury this year. She is, one of those next stars to really look at. And she just goes out there and enjoys playing basketball. And you can tell she has fun because like she got a little bit of famous from TikTok, just like a lot of these newer, the kids from this age, this age group kind of do. But, it helped get eyes on her, and people see like how good at basketball and how much work she puts in on the game. And then it extends out to seeing all of her teammates at practice and stuff and how much work they're all putting in. To have these social media sites, the good thing about it is there's more light shed on, yes, the stars, but the people around them too, and what actually goes into it. Now, speaking of March Madness, or however we're supposed to say it, because again, this is kind of one of those Super Bowl conversations, things are trademarked, but we are going to set up a bracket pool challenge for our show. We will tweet out the link later this week. Your picks don't have to be in until Thursday. We're not going to worry about, you have to get the playing games right as well. We will put a bracket challenge out, and we may even post a poll at the beginning. Do we want to do a men's one or a women's one? Or, we'll see. But the winner of the bracket challenge, we know will get $100 Amazon gift card at the end. There will not be a buy-in charge. There is no money to put in yourself. We will supply the $100 gift card for you from Amazon, but we are going to do a bracket challenge. So
all you got to do is follow the show page on Twitter.
That's all you have to do.
A simple follow button, and you're entered to win $100. I mean, how easy is that?
Who
doesn't want $100 from Amazon? Because you get everything from Amazon.
Yeah, I have like 3 or 4 packages at my door like every single day when I get home from work. So, it's.
I was getting texts about Amazon packages while we're doing the show tonight.
Nice.
That's one of the places we have our wedding registry through. So, it just makes everything easier. People are able to ship things down to, Jana's mom's home down there. So we had all the stuff there for the bridal shower yesterday. So
that, honestly, that is one of the nicest things about it. I'm able to go on there, send friends gifts.
Yep.
Have it delivered right to their house.
Not even worry about, having to go pick it up. You got to drive. You got to take it to them, or you got to
I'll make sure to give you my address. Don't worry.
They'll even wrap it. They'll even wrap it and put a card in it for me.
Now
you don't even have to wrap mine. Just send me whatever. I like getting stuff in the mail.
Now, don't worry. If you do win, we will have a secure way for you to get us the information we need to send you the gift card. But make sure you follow us at VTL_pod for the first ever Voice of the Land bracket challenge. Winner getting $100 gift card. All you got to do is hit the follow button.
Don't worry. I'm not going to win. I don't win these things. I'm usually the dude that's out of it. Like after the second week, I'm like, all right, I think I'm officially out now.
Well, I feel like this comes up every single year, but for those that have just tuned into Voice of the Land and are new listeners, new viewers of the show, I was once beat by a 7-year-old in a bracket challenge. That's the story I tell every single year. I was once beat by a 7-year-old because they either picked based on colors or mascots, whatever it was. They were the winner of this bracket challenge.
The first one I've ever done, I was in high school, and it was a huge pot. I can't remember what it was, but there was a lot of people in it. And it was the year Ohio State went to the Final Four with, I think, Scooty Penn and Michael Redd. And I picked him to go all the way because I love Michael Redd. And someone's mom, who has no clue about anything, just was picking. She like admitted she picked randomly.
Mm-hmm.
And beat me in the championship, and I've just been salty ever since with those things. Yeah. Like I've never even come close again after that. I'm like,
well, and guys, we do have a perfect time for the show for March Madness too, because there might be a couple more games after we're done, but games, especially if we do the men's tournament, that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think the women's might still do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I'm not sure if they're back, if they're on the same men's schedule now that it's all kind of along the same commercialized element of March Madness and everything. we'll take a look at that. But, Sunday night, there's only maybe a couple of games that go on after us, maybe one or two. So we'll have a good idea of who leads through the weekends of March Madness and keep you updated. We'll take a segment or about 5 minutes.
What's funny, like,
by that.
I don't come to me for college basketball information because I don't know anything really at all. But when it comes to this and I make a bracket, you better believe I'm into it. Like, I get really into it because I want to win on everything I do. And I never win, but I still get into it. They're so fun.
Don't worry, we are ineligible to win. We will pick one of you that
yeah, we'll make one just for fun, but
yeah.
I ain't gonna win. So
if we win, we will take the highest person there, or if there's a tie at the end, we will use the score for the final as a tiebreaker. Before we do get out of here, though, guys, gotta mention our partners over at the Cleveland Crunch. They just keep on keeping on, as Joe Dirt once said.
The scores keep getting higher and higher every time.
18-1 in the Queen City this afternoon.
Wasn't the last game 16-4?
I think so. Yeah.
I mean,
they're going to apply a mercy rule because of the crunch. Then,
so if you're not doing anything next Saturday night,
fan appreciation night
out in North Olmsted at this, what is it, the Soccer Sportsplex?
Soccer Sportsplex. If you're going 480 West, it's right off the
right by the exit.
Right off the exit for Lakeland or Lorraine Community College. You
got
turn
a bad
right,
seat in the house.
Turn right, and it's like it's just like 10 feet up the road.
Yep.
Turn right, and the Soccer Sportsplex is right there off the highway, right off of 480. So,
and if you can't make it, make sure you tune in to the Crunch YouTube channel and watch it live.
Yep. The LPV Productions crew, Peter, of course, his son, Jim, of course, myself, we will all be out there. We will bring you the live action, but try to get out there because it is such a fun time and it's standing room only. And like the group chats that are going on, like on Facebook with the Crunch fan group that's going on. I mean, they're the ones feeding into every single live stream. And I think like a group of like 20 or so went down there together, fans for the Crunch today. They were making a whole bunch of noise watching on the Cincinnati Swerves Facebook page. So they face the Cincinnati Swerve again, 7 p.m. next Saturday. Jay, you should get out there. Everybody try to get out there if you can. If you can't, we'll bring you the live streams, like Peter said, right on the Cleveland Crunch YouTube channel. They are 11-0 and already sealed the Great Lakes Division Championship. They're looking for more, though. There's some other tough teams in the other divisions. The other two, they're playing their best soccer. They've played well all year. They're still getting better and playing their best soccer at the end right when you need to. Just like these college teams are trying to play their best basketball at the end. Unlike the Cavs not really playing their best basketball going into the final month and a half. We didn't even get a chance to talk about them. We'll make sure we touch on them moving forward.
All I'll say is, remember our poll about being worried? Now it was like 1-3.
Yeah.
I skipped over like the 4-5, and I'm in like the 8-9 right now.
Yeah.
I need my Jared Allen back.
I know. The injuries have just been from, even through the Indian season last year. I know they're the Guardians now, but history tells us the Indians played last year. From some of those injuries there,
as many times as you can get that name in before it's completely gone.
It's going to be all.
It will never be gone.
It's never going to be gone because it's going to be plastered all over my wedding. You can rest assured that it's going to be plastered all over the seats with the jerseys we're trying to get.
All your wedding pictures will have it in there.
I'm gonna hang my Chief Wahoo flag behind Kevin.
I mean, you can. I don't really care. But those that are tuning in, if you do have any Indians jerseys you would let us borrow, we're only going to borrow them. We'll make sure to tag them with your name and give them back after the wedding. We are trying to get enough jerseys for our wedding on May 21st, 2022. Enough Indians jerseys to cover all of the chairs. Use those as our chair covers instead of the chair covers that would be provided by the reception hall. So just add a note there. And a team that actually needs to get moving on some free agency or trades, and if you want to complain about a team, the Guardians would be a team, not the Browns and their history with Andrew Berry right now. The Indians might need an outfield and some might need some bullpen pitchers that might help. We can rely on some young guys, but you might want some veteran help somewhere. Yeah. Finally, give me a veteran outfielder,
please. I can hit over 300.
Our guest last week, Tony Rizzo from ESPN Cleveland, always says, find me my quarterback or find me my kicker. Find me my outfielder. Please. Finally find me an outfield.
And someone that just can protect Jose in that batting order, please.
at least the Crunch found that that epicness of yesteryear and are doing big things. So shout out to them, and go over to theclevelandcrunch.com to get your tickets there. And we will try to touch more on the Cavs and maybe some Guardians next week and react to NFL free agency. But that's going to wrap it up. A big show tonight, our NFL free agency preview.
Thank you, Craig Fountain, for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you for Bulletproof Vest for the awesome story. Just awesome stuff there, man.
I just got a text. I thought it was something in regards to our wedding and stuff, because the fiance just texted me. No, apparently there is a plant-powered Hidden Valley ranch. I've never liked ranch dressing though, so I'm not even going to touch that. No,
Ranch is gross.
yeah, ranch is gross. So either way,
Hot tub.
not a ranch dressing fan, but we are fans of the Browns, Cavs, Guardians, Crunch, Buckeyes,
In Cleveland.
and March Madness. Make sure you follow us at VTL_pod for the link to our bracket challenge, and more to come on that throughout the week. But for now, for Always Positive J, for audio, I'm Kevin Arnold, reminding all of you sports fans, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. We truly love you all 3,000. And as the late, great Mike Allen always used to say, from our LPV Productions crew, all gas, no brakes. We'll see you all next week.